Welcome to the April 3rd, 2023 Granville County Board of Commissioners meeting. Commissioner Jay, if you'll lead us in the invocation and pledge allegiance, please.
Would you bow with me in prayer? Lord, we come as humble as we know how. Thank you, Father, for this day. Thank you, Father, for the many blessings you have stored upon us. Lord, bless our staff. Lord, just bless our county. Bless our sheriff and sheriff department, police department, all over the land and country, Lord. Lord, just bless us. Bless our schools. Bless our children. Lord, just bless our communities, that we may grow in grace, be more humble, be more loving and kindness, Father. Father, just bless us as we go through this meeting. Guide our hearts and mind that we be on one accord. Lord, just give us understanding and mercy. These blessings, all blessings we ask in thy name. Amen.
Amen.
Stand for me for the pledge, ladies. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Board, each of you have had an opportunity to look at the consent agenda. What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll now move into our public comment section. We welcome the comments. We ask you to be courteous and not demean anybody. You have 3 minutes to speak. You'll see a yellow card when you get at 30 seconds, and then you'll see a red card when you get at the 3-minute mark. We ask that you stop at that point. We welcome any comments that you have, and the first name we have is Carlos Velez. And also, when you come forward, Mr. Velez, if you could repeat your name again to us and your address. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Carlos Velez Sr. I live on 32 Church Street in Oxford, North Carolina. I'm here tonight to address the issue about the salary raises for our deputies. I was one of the people that fought to get OPD pay raises, which was a great thing, but it has trickled to taking our deputies. A lot of our surrounding counties are doing pay raises, so are a lot of police departments. So I ask that you guys act and raise the salary grade for our deputies so we don't have to lose any more. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, sir. The next person is Scotty Brooks. If you could, Mr. Brooks, provide us your name and address.
Good afternoon, good evening. Scotty Brooks, 104 Smith Street. I also would like to speak about the sheriff's salaries. So when you work a job and you see people come in and they make more money than you, it makes everybody mad. I know I'm not the only one that's ever experienced that. You start a job at $35,000, 3 years later somebody starts that same job doing the exact same duties for 50. That's a problem. I talked to a few deputies. One told me he could leave right now and make $15,000 more than he's making with our current sheriff department. Why would he stay? $15,000, that's a nice little bump in pay. I'm sure you all would agree. So what we're asking is that you all take a hard look, but this is not a one-time thing. You need to look at this across the board for the life of a person's job at our sheriff's department. That's what you need to do, in my honest opinion. So we know that we've had some attacks on our sheriff in the press, attacks on our sheriffs in conversations in public and in private. Well, our sheriff just started. And for what our sheriff's department has been, my God, it can't get any worse. So let's give this sheriff an opportunity to clean up what you all and some other folk have messed up. That's what we're asking you to do. So I implore you, do what's right, do what's right. We have a city council, we have to fight to be safe. They don't want to pay people saying that the person that gets shot at for a living should make as much money as the person that cleans up the trash on the street. I'm sorry. You get shot at for a living, you should get paid a lot of money. Because most of us don't wake up thinking, I could die today when I go to work. They do every day. Let's respect our law enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Brad Oldenburg. Mr. Oldenburg, give us your, excuse me, Mr. Brooks, what city are you from?
Oxford.
And Mr. Velez? Okay, thank you. Mr. Oldenburg, same information, please.
Brad Oldenburg, 6588 Huntsboro Road in Oxford. I'm here tonight to speak in both support of the Sheriff's Office and the Sheriff and the County Commissioners. As the gentleman preceding just said, there have been a lot of comments in social media, conversations and whatnot, not only disparaging towards the Sheriff, but also towards the County Commissioners as well. And I think that everybody should know that in terms of from the County Commissioner perspective, every request, funding request, spending request, and everything else that the Sheriff has submitted since the beginning of his term has been approved. Recently, there have been some requests made around further funding for salaries, and my understanding is that some requested documentation up to that point, either funding requests or budget or plans or whatever else had not been yet provided. I don't know if that's happened since then, and I understand they may be working together. But the truth of the matter is that this commission, the Board of Commissioners, all 7 of you have been very supportive of the Sheriff's Office, in my view. And I think that's been reflected in the way that you all have approved everything, and I think that's a good thing. I also think it's a good thing to, hold the commissioners accountable and the Sheriff's Office accountable as well, in terms of, if I'm not aware, and I'm not asking if this has been the case, but I'm not aware that a, full staffing and salary plan or raise plan has been submitted yet. If that hasn't happened yet, how are we supposed to act on it? That's all I have to say. And the last thing I'd like to say is, and I'm not sure, and I apologize if I'm transgressing a little bit here, I'm not sure if the Oxford Ledger's here yet, but 2 weeks ago in this meeting, we had folks being very passionate about their views as to what's happening in STEM. The sheriff had some perspective about some things that he was asking for, and the commissioners also had some conversation about that. And I think that there was some real spirited conversation back and forth. And was that reported on? No. Right? The sheriff had made his points. The commissioners made their points. Hopefully they're going to get together somewhere in here. But where the Oxford Ledger was here, 1 or 2 people were here, and not one thing was reported in the paper. That's their job, right? Report the news. There's what I saw last week was opinion and should have been on the editorial page, but they need to report the news. And when you're doing good work, or you just need to be, everybody needs to be held accountable, that needs to be reported too, the good and the bad. So hopefully that's going to change in the future. I hope everybody's able to work together on this and we'll be able to get going. Thanks very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone here else tonight that would like to speak about any topic, any other topic? Well, we typically don't do this, but I've talked to a few commissioners, and I think I'm going to open it up for commissioners to respond. If there's any commissioner here, anyone at all, that would like to respond to any of the comments made, the floor is open to you, and I will leave it open to you to speak at this time.
Chairman, go ahead, Mr. Cosgrove. I just appreciate the effort, and I will reserve my remarks for later in the meeting. And I know it's opportunity for us to speak now, because sometimes we get a little long in the tooth, and a lot of folks leave right after this portion. But there's fact and there's fact, and sometimes the two don't quite correlate. But Commissioner Cosar, I yield to you.
Yes, I'm just so grateful to hear the comments of support. One of the things that happened as Sheriff Fountain was sworn in, one of my pleas to the community was, please be positive. Let us work together, have positive voices. And then the other thing that I mentioned was that we as a board want to support the sheriff with a good budget. And I'm so happy that at this point, as has been said, we've been able to support requests that have been made. So going forward, I will repeat that. Let us try to remain positive, and let us work together to have the best law enforcement in this county we can have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Inman.
Mr. County Manager, could I get you to help me out on these facts and numbers, because I don't have those dates straight in my head. But before the sheriff was installed, we did give $1 million in bonuses just to get by until the budget got there, right? And then at just around Christmas time, we gave another $7,000 apiece in a pay raise just to get through. And our other employees didn't get but half of that. But am I correct on those two things?
I think the two things that you mentioned are sort of the same thing, but commissioners did last fall, prior to the election, approve approximately $1 million in retention and recruitment bonuses, and it is true that for a deputy making less than $50,000, that would have amounted to about $7,000 of additional pay in the current year, and the hope that I expressed at that time and that commissioners expressed was that that would tide us over until the fiscal 23-24 budget, where again we're anticipating significant movement in the permanent long-term salary schedule for law enforcement officers.
So that's just until we could get to the budget, see what we could cut out, and go from there, and then work on a actual raise for the sheriff's department. So we have done something. We haven't ignored what they've been asking for. Thank you, sir.
That was one of those facts.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
I would just like to, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I would just like to say thank you each and every one coming out, and thank each and every one that signed up and spoke on behalf of the citizen and for the sheriff, and being concerned about everybody. Please give us a chance so we can work together and work this out.
Is there any other commissioner who'd like to make a comment at this time?
Yes, if I may. This $1 million we're talking about, we voted on that before the election. We didn't know who was going to be sheriff, but we knew there was going to be losses in the sheriff's department. You were going to have people leaving. The new sheriff was going to be faced with hiring new people. There's going to be a certain amount of turnover. And we voted on this and put these bonuses in place. And some of them are new employee bonuses, sign-on bonuses, and some of them is bonuses for retention. So we were trying to do a little stopgap both ways to help with it. Now, I understand now, since Oxford has raised their pay rate, the sheriff's department is losing officers to Oxford. Well, before that, Oxford was talking about how much they were losing to the sheriff's department because the pay at the sheriff's department was higher. So I don't know if people are going back and forth, if these same people are moving back and forth between the organizations or what. I don't, we don't have access to personnel records, so we don't know who came to the sheriff's department and then decided to go back to Oxford once they got the pay up. And, we've worked I think we worked well with the sheriff. We certainly have open and honest communication with him. I do, and I appreciate all that he's trying to do and all that he's getting done. And he's hit the ground running, no let up. And I feel like we need to do a comprehensive plan with the pay, not a knee-jerk reaction. We need to look at the long term. We need to also look at the pay bands, need to look at the compression within the pay bands. If we give raises in a certain way or promotions, we need to look at the entire body of it, not just entry-level pay or pay for a certain position. Thank you.
Any other commissioners before I speak? I want to make sure each commissioner's had an opportunity to say what they want to say.
Commissioner May, just real quick for folks in the audience. So when we talk in like a matter of $1 million or a few cents, what we're talking about is the ad valorem tax rate. You're at 84 cents per hundred right now, plus the 6 cents if you live in an unincorporated area for fire tax. So when you talk about $1 million, that's like 2 cents on $100 per hundred evaluation. So it's a couple $100 per 100,000. I mean, you're talking about real money to y'all. So if you want your taxes to go up, and they will, 2 cents, $100,000, $1 million, it's money out of your pocket. So this job, the job of this board, we are the fiduciary responsible for the county. And when we talk about how high taxes are, when we talk about every department needs more, schools, I think they're asking for $2 million more this year. So do the math real quick, that's 4 cents. Okay, so $1 million, 2 cents-ish. So think about that.
Thank you, commissioners. I'm going to speak now, then we're going to move on to our business. In 2021, the county completed a pay study. At the conclusion of that pay study, deputies and other employees were provided pay raises. In November of 2022, recruitment and retention bonuses were provided to every deputy making less than $50,000. In addition, for some of those deputies, there was some overlap pay because of a system that we're putting in place that was another $2,000. Some deputies in those pay ranges, their bonuses will be paid out between, I believe, December and July, a total of $7,000. That doesn't touch all our employees, and we understand that. The sheriff is in a very difficult situation. We get it. People leave law enforcement agencies for a variety of reasons. They don't all leave because of pay. They leave because they may not like their new manager. They leave because they want to go to another place to work. They leave because their family moves. They leave for a variety of reasons. They no longer like their boss. I don't know. But I will say that pay is absolutely a significant factor. So we acknowledge that. This board acknowledges. I can tell you that I've had numerous conversations with the county manager and commissioners. We're committed to making a substantial, unprecedented attempt at providing pay raises to the sheriff's office and our other employees across the board that we've not seen before here in the county. To do that, and do it the way that we need to do that, we have to listen to every department head that comes into the county manager's office between now and budget cycle to see what their needs are and the cost of those needs. So we can evaluate what our fund balance is, the money we have currently, how we can take from that, or maybe what else do we have to do in potential of a tax raise, which we want to avoid if all possible. The county just incurred a 6-cent tax raise on fire tax last year. We really do not want to tax people again this year. I really believe that I think the sheriff has provided some ideas to the county manager and the assistant county manager. I think our HR department, the county manager, and the assistant county manager are working through the processes. We need to pay our deputies more. I'll say this, and I don't like saying this. We didn't mess this up.
Amen.
There's no corruption on this board. I'm not aware of a single commissioner here that has committed any acts of corruption.
Say it again.
So what happened in the sheriff's department dramatically impacted the future of that sheriff's department. It dramatically impacted it. And you had many changes of leadership. And when you have changes of leadership, it causes unsteadiness. And when unsteadiness occurs in an organization, anyone that's worked in a large organization understands that that causes uneasiness. And then it's easy for someone to look at the other side of the aisle and think it may be a better place to go. But we have some things we have to work on with the sheriff's department and with our county employees. Everything ranging from 401k to insurance to it all. We got to do it. So our goal is to work with the sheriff to get to that point. Now, if we want to do what's traditionally done, is slap a Band-Aid on it and move on, then we'll be talking about this again next year. That's what I don't want to do. I don't want to do that. I understand the sheriff's in a tough spot. The sheriff has an advantage that local police departments don't have. Local police departments typically have to hire someone that is certified, BLE certified. They can go. They can get in that car and go from day one. The sheriff can hire people that are not BLE certified, and he can swear them in, and they begin to work in some capacities. Not perfect, not perfect. Clearly not what we want. So we understand the sheriff's situation. We understand it all too well. We want to work with them every way possible, but it's got to be a partnership and a level of cooperation between the two of us, because we're talking about significant amounts of funding to take care of the problems that we're doing. But we cannot, and I say this again and I'll finish, not everybody leaves because of money. There's been a lot to occur in our sheriff department the last 3 years. And this commissioner had nothing to do with the mess ups. Thank you very much. We'll begin our business.
If you're going to talk from the peanut gallery, I think you might could leave. Sorry, I don't have tolerance for this tonight.
We're responding to comments, and the comments were made. The board was accused of messing it up. And the board has been working very diligent to correct it and get it right. But I was not involved in any of the mess ups. I spent 32 years as a federal agent and as a police officer. I wasn't involved in that. We'll move on to planning matters. Mr. Jurgensen. Good evening, sir. This is to consider adopting a resolution to allow North Carolina Department of Transportation to abandon .16 miles of SR 1214 Roycroft Road from the state-maintained secondary road system. Justin, provide us the background, and what is your recommendation?
All right, thank you, Chairman and Commissioners. We have before us a request from NCDOT, who received a request.
Speak up a little bit more.
We have before us a request from NCDOT to abandon .16 miles of Roycroft Road. This is roadway that is on the Army Corps of Engineers property, cuts between, or Interstate 85 and Falls Lake, cut between that vicinity. NCDOT actually has not really maintained this roadway for a number of years, as you can see in the pictures from your agenda packet. So they are, with the Army Corps of Engineers, are requesting that this be abandoned and not longer maintained on the secondary road system. Be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Board.
Chairman, can I ask one, I'm sorry, did you have a question?
Mr. J, you have a question?
I'm sorry.
My question is why would the state want to abandon this?
So it's a petition that was actually received from the Army Corps of Engineers. And this roadway was initially divided, when they constructed Interstate 85 in Falls Lake, it divided this roadway. And this portion of the roadway ended up on the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Nobody's really maintained it in 30, 40 years or longer. They're really just wanting to clean up their paperwork, so their paperwork matches the reality of the situation.
What's the pleasure of the board? Are there any more questions for Mr. Turgerson?
Move to approve.
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
So that means then if we were to put this road in, then we would be responsible for this road. Is that right?
So there essentially is not a roadway there any longer. If you look at the pictures, it's really, there's remnants of a roadway there, but it's really gone back to the natural environment. And the Army Corps of Engineers just doesn't want a roadway there at all, so.
Okay.
Before the lake was put in, this was a road that, and before the interstate was put in, this was a road that came out behind Lyons Service Station. And the interstate broke it up, and then when the lake was put in, it further broke it up. It became Corps Engineer land then instead of DOT. So it's been abandoned
As long as the interstate.
since the 70s.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to spend any more money anywhere. I'm trying to find money.
Do anyone live on that road?
No.
Say that again?
The question was if there's anybody that lives on
They
that
don't want to
road,
live on that road.
and there is not.
There's not, no. It's just Army Corps of Engineer property, no residents at all.
Board, we've had a first and a second, am I correct? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Mr. Brumett. The purpose of this is approval of purchase replacement emergency communications backup recorder. Consider approving the purchase of a new voice recorder to install at our backup emergency center location. And if you could, Mr. Brumman, just talk a little bit about the backup location and the need.
Okay. Good evening. This is at our 911 backup center in Wilton. The recorder there has been there since we built or constructed the area in 2017. The 911 board recommends every 3 years to update your recorder. So we were able to get a little longer lifespan since we're not down there for long periods of time. But we're looking at replacing it this year, and it's going to be 100% covered by emergency system telephone fund money. Fully, 100%.
Explain that money to those that don't know.
Yes, it is. So basically, everyone's cell phone, they have a 911 surcharge on their bill, and it's dispersed throughout the 100 counties to the PSAPs, the 911 centers, to use only on 911 equipment, certain eligible expenses, and I have a long list and sheet of stuff that's only covered by that. That money can only cover those certain things. So it doesn't cover like vehicles or anything like that. It's strictly to bring the 911 call to the center is what it's used for.
Any other questions for any commissioners? Your recommendation, sir?
To approve the purchase through our vendor that's currently with us, Carolina Recorder.
The amount?
It is $43,565, and which is 100% covered by the Emergency Telephone System Fund.
Any other comments from any members on the board? Have a motion?
Who would approve?
1 second.
I'm sorry, is this being purchased off state contract?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Wren. Mr. J?
Move to approve.
Can I have a second?
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next matter is a sheriff's matter. Sheriff, good evening. The North Carolina Governor's Highway Safety Program grant application. The purpose of the sheriff's office is requesting that the board adopt the attached resolution and approve the application for the North Carolina Governor's Highway Safety Program. And I believe we did make a correction to the page 4 here, County Manager, where the sheriff is now the agency authorizing signature, right?
Yes, I did speak with the sheriff about that this afternoon or this morning, whenever it was. And yeah, we agreed that that would go in under his signature.
That'll be amended, Court, just so the record shows. Thank you, Sheriff. Please provide us a background and your recommendations.
First, prior to ever speaking, I give honor to God to what he does for me and who I am as a person and what he gives me. And I always thank my team that always support me. So every time I step here, I will say the same things because I give credit where credit is due. And that is to the people, it's the men and women that support the sheriff's office. Secondly, to the community, we appreciate and applaud your interest in the things that are going on. I will say this, that the commissioners, and Mr. Oldenburg is correct, have been diligent in what they do for the requests that I bring forward. I will have spirited dialogue with anyone about anything that goes on in the sheriff's office, and I would appreciate people to say that factually about how things are done. But I will always defend the office of sheriff. I will always stand up for what's right. No matter who likes it, it is what it is. God got it. I don't worry about it. So, in that vein, Granville County has its first Region 4 coordinator for the Governor's Highway Safety Council. Mr. Kevin Buster has been identified as the Governor's Highway Safety Program's Region 4 coordinator. And in that same vein, we're applying for a $25,000 grant. That's a non-matching grant. And under the program, we want to increase traffic. We want to decrease traffic accidents. The grant funding will be utilized for training, purchase of equipment to coordinate enforcement operations and strategies. The goal is to increase visibility on 85 and other roads in our county. And it's also to understand that we have to do more to save lives and reduce fatalities in our community. So this $25,000 will be utilized for that process. It only can be utilized for that process. So it can't be given to us and fund anything else. It has to be used for the purpose of Governor's Highway Safety as directed to utilize. And I'm asking for the resolution to be passed for us to be awarded this $25,000 because we're working with Governor's Highway Safety in a nice spirited way. I think that the executive director or the director was here with us 3 or 4 weeks ago for a saturation operation that we had. So we've developed a relationship with them. And I just met with the executive director of DOT to install camera systems on 85 for us, which will also create broadband opportunities as well. So we're working to do things a little different. And those things are going to help with the highway safety and public safety throughout our county.
You go back one, are you doing that, Sheriff, or the county
No.
manager? Can you go back one screen, please? That'll work. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I do have a couple questions.
Yes, ma'am.
First of all, I applaud you for going after any grants that you can help find any way to help do this. My other question is this for inside our county or is this out anywhere in the state?
Granville County only.
Oh, Granville County only?
Correct.
Perfect. How many deputies will this take out of service of doing their normal everyday routine?
0.
None? None. Okay.
Two different things.
Sheriff,
Yes, sir.
what, besides 85, what secondary roads will be included?
We're going to look down the southern end, Brassfield, any road that we can do like we did with the saturation operation on the southern end.
Okay.
So when we start talking about 96, 56, anywhere on a highway that we can utilize these strategies, because we've identified some more people that we under direction of Mr. Kevin Buster, who is our Regional 4 coordinator. We're sending 4 individuals to Radar School so we can have those things up and running throughout our community and our county. I know people don't like for us to write tickets, but it is what it is. Safety is safety, and there's no way you can change that. So we are getting complaints from our residents about speed in these rural areas on these side roads. When you go up 15, when you look up 158. So Highway Patrol cannot cover all these areas. And with this grant, with the equipment we can purchase, we will make our roads safer. That's the whole thing. We're not just looking 85, but that's our drill corridor. But we want to make our whole community safe, and any secondary roads we get identification on, then Mr. Buster will be the one to help coordinate those efforts with Highway Patrol. First Sergeant Ellerby is on board with us as well from the Highway Patrol in this area. So they're going to assist us in that as well.
So Sheriff, these questions don't mean that I don't support you and your people 100%. So in the grant application, it says that you're getting 2 additional radars, all capitalized, and 1 allied LIDAR.
Correct.
Right? And then the next sentence says the radar speed signs is to slow down by making drivers aware that they're driving at or above the speed limit that is posted. So are these speed signs?
Correct.
I've seen them. Okay, so they're speed signs.
Correct.
So to Commissioner Hinman's, you're not actually using deputies to monitor these. You're putting out speed signs.
We're doing both.
A couple of boxes. Okay, so in this grant, you've got 2 radars.
Correct.
All caps, and 1 LIDAR.
Correct.
So are the 2 the signs?
No, that's addition 2. The radar and LIDAR are 2 different things. One where you can actually get out the car, point it at someone like a gun almost,
Okay.
and it will pick up. The other radars are the ones that are mounted in the vehicles, rear and front facing.
Okay, so the purpose of these radar speed signs is to slow down by making drivers aware of the driving speeds.
Correct.
So how does that work? If you're talking about in cars, they're not posted on the side of a road like Creedmoor's
They are
got, like
posted
when you're
on the side of the
entering?
road. 2 different things.
Okay,
The ones that are
right?
posted on the side of the roads, the same way when you go into certain areas and see a speed flashing sign that tells you what your speed is, that is to indicate to the driver you're going over the posted speed, or just telling you what your speed is in general to make you aware.
Right.
And go ahead.
So what are you buying?
Yes,
What's
we
this
get
grant?
those. We're getting those, the LIDARs and radars.
Okay, so it's not enumerated in this grant. It says you're getting 3 things, and then it says the purpose of these radar speed signs is to slow down the marking and making drivers aware. So I'm not following your grant application.
Because 25,000 will cover more than just the 3 radars that we're gonna get. It'll be other things included in it. So when we talk about the training and equipment.
It's not enumerated in the grant.
Oh,
You have 3 things enumerated in the grant. Radar inclusive installation and shipping for $75,000. Number 2, a LIDAR, 1 of them, for $35,000. and then 3,500, pardon my French. And then number 3, the speed display signs mounted on a sign, which is 2 of those. So when you look at the grant application, it doesn't enumerate what you're doing as far as what you've got going on. I'm reading exactly from your document, so I'm just confused. And again, I'm asking these questions because I'm confused, not because I don't support 100% of what you're doing.
So I'm confused by your confusion.
So, it says in the grant, the Granville County Sheriff's Office has continued to see the increase of speeding violations, the majority of enforcement taking place on major roadways due to the high crash volume. Speed continues to be a leading cause of crashes within our county. With the 2 additional radar, all capitalized, and the 1 LiDAR, more officers can be placed in the area to combat this concern. Our hope is that the more enforcement will lead to less crashes. The purpose of the radar is to use these speed slowing
No, so I think that's a problem.
speed slowing signs.
The purpose of the radar speed signs. There are speed signs that have radars attached to them.
Correct.
Okay.
I'm with you.
So what he's saying is it wasn't written in that paragraph what you were
These
doing.
grant applications, so in the city of Creedmoor on Highway 56, when you come into Creedmoor, city proper, you've got a little sign that flashes at you when you're going over 35 miles an hour. Is that what this is?
That's what that is, yeah.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
So, any other questions for any board member?
I've got more.
Okay.
So in the grant application, it says you have 60 sworn officers?
Correct.
60 sworn officers?
I think that's about right. We're not at full capacity of the 72, no.
Right. So I don't have an org chart, so I have actually no idea what you have. I've asked her, this is the 4th time that I asked for it.
You had it last time that he came, I gave it to him, so I'll present you with this right here. Gives you everything that's broken down.
So the 13 people that was enumerated last time in your org chart. Okay, outstanding. Thank you very much.
Is there only 1 copy? I'm sorry.
Oh, outstanding. I'll share this with y'all. So in this grant, it also talks about in-county and out-of-county travel for about $3,000. And I think Commissioner Hinman was referencing about what the out-of-state or in-state travel was for.
That is part of his budget for the training that is part of Region 4. So Region 4 is just not Granville County. It's not for our deputies. It's for us to conduct these training platforms because he's the region coordinator for Region 4.
Okay, and again, just asking questions because my constituents, again, as the sphincter for the fiscal control, my constituents ask me questions and I parlay them to you. If you've got 20% under your staffing ratios and you've got people going out of county to do work, there's concern.
Is that a question?
This is more of a comment.
Well, but that goes back to my question. If you've got people going out of county for training, that's taking a body away from somebody in the county, right?
No. Because of the fact, I can send someone to training and have other people cover those areas. It's about management of people and resources. So just like I have to send people to BLET, that means you don't want me to send them because I got to send them out of county?
Absolutely not. I want you to send them.
Managing resources to put the people in place to make sure the county's covered. So we don't have the ability not to send people to training out of county. We have to. So there is no training academy that's in this county.
I think the question was, Sheriff, I think what was intended was to do whatever that's asking this to do. Are you going to have personnel assigned to other places in the region? Is Mr. Buster going to be assigned to other places in the region outside of the county during county hours?
The training coordinator will go out of county to help within the region.
And that was the question was anyone going to be out of town or out of pocket? And the response was no, but actually Mr. Buster is going to be working out. I think that's what she wanted to clarify.
Right, and they're just quarterly meetings.
Right, we understand that.
Right.
But I mean, it's a question of them
not
knowing.
Deputies going out of county.
So when they do the operations, they do it within their county. They do not go out to do it at other counties.
Correct. Unless we have some requests to do things like we've done with other agencies, those requests will be on a MOU case-by-case basis. But with this grant funding, the grant funding is basically to make sure that the region coordinator can go and hold training so we're all on the same page. Every county that connects to us is the ones that we're concerned about, the ones we have to have these mutual aid agreements about. The one where, just like Mecklenburg County today, had someone chased, Person County, we had to chase somebody from Person County through our county and do spike strips. So for all of us to be on the same page is some of that stuff that we're trying to work on as far as this being part of the grant funding solutions to get us better.
Fine. Is there any other questions by any board members?
Go ahead. One last question. I know that there's all kinds of fun, highly supported, click it or ticket, booze it or lose it. We know those slogans. And of course, it's important to do those annualized or semi-annual, multiple, especially around the holidays, events that take place that just kind of remind people that it's illegal to do those kind of things, not have your seatbelts on or drink and drive, which obviously in the state of some of our roads here, and I've said this to senators and our legislators many times, that when you've got a missing white line and people catch that and overcorrect and meet a tree going 55 or 60 miles an hour, the tree wins. Have you looked at any kind of tarp it, secure your load to combat trash on our roads? I mean, because if obviously these click it or ticket campaigns or the DWI surveillance checkpoints, putting a deputy at the convenience sites to impose our tarp your load, secure your load issues would probably be a good thing. And I think that there's a whole lot of trash on the side of a road from people who don't adequately secure their loads when they're going to our convenience sites. And it sure would be nice if our law enforcement agencies were actively involved in a piddly little thing like litter. I know that we're talking here at a much higher scale because we're talking about human life, but I'm acquiescing into a topic of, the law is the law, and if we're going to be enforcing things outside of our county, within our county for DWI surveillance or click it or ticket efforts, that maybe we want to take a look at enforcing some of those regulations around tarp your load or secure your load when you're going to the convenience site. Because I know there's a whole lot of folks that, again, their stuff blows out of the back of their pickup truck because they think that when they leave their house they can toss a bag of trash and it's still going to be there when they get to the convenience site. So is that anything on your radar?
It's on our radar. In fact, me and Mr. Drew Cummings talked today about the misdemeanor confinement program we were trying to bring back to the county, which will include trash and litter pickup by the inmates, and we'll get a stipend from the state for those things. Also, if we are notified of those incidents and we get those trash on the road and we can identify where it came from, then we'll also look at doing some of those enforcement actions against those individuals as well. But the thing that most concerns me is the fact that, again, today, we had those conversations about the misdemeanor confinement program, how we raise and generate money utilizing inmate labor to clean up our roads. So that's something on our radar as far as staffing and funding. As soon as we get the bodies, then we will be able to also include that in this process.
So I'm talking about preventative, proactive policing, like the ticket or click it campaigns or the booze it or lose it. Correct. We don't wait until after the accident to go out and cite people. We go proactively and get people before or during the littering, instead of just picking up their trash on the side of the road.
If we
Talking
identify
about-
it and see it, I think that's being proactive.
So if you station your deputies at any convenience site, any day of the week that we're open, 6 days a week, I'm sure you'll find people coming in there without their loads properly tarped.
If you want me to station a vehicle,
Well, I don't see very many deputies patrolling the southern end where I stay, so, I mean, you're down at 60, and you take out the SROs, and you take out your courthouse staff, and you take out the 6 administrative, the chiefs, you're down to like a whole very small portion of folks that
we
are on
have
the
the
road.
same number that we had prior to me being elected, so we utilize the same.
I have no idea because I just now was
Well, I
handed
didn't cut
the
you off, sir, so
enumeration.
if you give me a moment to respond to you, then I will
Sure.
appreciate it. So, what we had before I took office is pretty much what we have now. So, if you want me to find bodies to sit out at the litter pickup or the trash waste dump, then we will look at that, but you can again talk to Mr. Buster in reference to that and maybe schedule some time for that to occur. Anytime somebody brings something to my attention in the southern end of the county, we have been more than workable to work with them to make sure that those things happen. Because when I get those calls and get those conversations, I ensure that our field operations people take notice of that. Even to the degree I go down and do the same thing. Even at bus stops, when the kids get off the bus, we're starting to be out there because myself and Mr. Mark Harrison and some of the other deputies are doing those things. So again, until you start looking at the funding and how we can increase the people that we have on the streets and on the roads, some of the stuff, X and O's, we got to talk Mo's and Joe's and money.
You and I met in 2022 when you first were elected to this office, and I think that was one of the things that we talked about.
Correct.
Mr. Chairman, if I'm,
Just let me, I'm, 1 second here. Sheriff, refresh my memory here and help me. At some point, as you moved to doing more traffic enforcement, do you envision a time in which when you have appropriate staffing, where you'll actually have deputies do accident reports?
Say again, sir?
Accident reports.
Depends on what accidents occur. So accidents occur on the state highways, Highway Patrol takes care of those. Anything that we do on our county roads, we will do it, but we would then ask questions about, hey, can we get assistance from Highway Patrol? So those things are in place. We're starting to have like I said, we're starting this whole process from the ground floor up. So yes, we will build those things, accident reconstructions and radar, and looking at how we can look at these motor vehicle laws and secure your load things. But we have to get there.
Okay, very good. Just wanted to know. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Any other questions from the board? Commissioner Cozart.
thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I can really appreciate the times I've been up on the flashing lights and remind me that I'm going a little too fast. So with that emotion in mind, I'm going to make a motion that we approve this application to the North Carolina Governor's Highway Safety Program.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next topic, Sheriff, if you would, the title, surplus declaration and donation of 2 sheriff office vehicles to Vance County. And the purpose of this is to receive approval to declare and donate 2 older model patrol cars to Vance County Community College. The sheriff office requesting that the county commissioners approve the donation. Sheriff, you can take it from there, sir.
Consistent with General Statute 160A/274, the use and sale of these vehicles, either to surplus them, donate them to other organizations and those things, or those bodies have to come and meet the board's approval. So what we're trying to do is build positive working relationships with Vance Granville Community College that sponsors our deputies in their training. So at this point, Vance Granville Community College doesn't have vehicle assets to utilize for defensive driving. So what we want to do is start helping build bridges and relationships with Vance Granville Community College to where we are looked at as one of the people that support and stand up for law enforcement from my perspective and from where I sit. So we've identified 2 of the vehicles that we're going to get surplus. We said, let's leave them, let's bring them to the board, let's utilize them as a donation to Vance Granville Community College and the BLET program.
Thank you, Sheriff.
I just have one minor question. Sir, so you were telling us that these were unsafe vehicles that you wanted to get rid of, and I'm assuming these are 2 of the unsafe vehicles?
I never said unsafe.
Okay, are they going to be safe for our BLT trainees?
Correct.
Okay, because I don't want anybody getting hurt on a vehicle that you didn't feel was safe enough for any of your people to be driving those.
No, I never said they weren't safe. They're just high mileage, aged out vehicles.
Okay.
Sheriff,
yes,
will the Granville County Sheriff's Office insignias and such markings still be on these vehicles?
Taken off.
They'll be taken off?
Already done.
Okay. I
The
thought
only
maybe
thing that will be left
maybe
on
we're going to get a little free advertisement.
No, sir. No, sir. Only thing that is left on them, we left the blue lights so they can activate the blue lights, the radios, all the equipment has been taken out. All the stripings and markings are taken. The only thing, if it didn't get it, we were going to surplus them anyway, but we would rather have them utilized for our community college and our deputies that are out there learning, because we don't want them to incur accidents down the road, because us tearing up cars costs us money. So let's teach them the right way in the beginning.
Board, do you have any other questions? What's the pleasure, Board? Mr. Wren.
I was going to add that we will convey these pursuant to a bill of sale that says that they accept them as is, where is, with no warranty. So,
right. And when we move to the next topic, Mr. Wren, I'd like to also put a caveat in there in regards to the shotguns that we're going to be talking about.
Well, I haven't specifically discussed this with the sheriff, but I would assume no one has any objection to just including a bill of sale, because we're transferring these without consideration pursuant to GS 168-274, and the bill of sale would simply say we're providing them as is, where is, with no warranty.
Right. I'm more concerned about any shotgun that may be defective and not known to be defective. So we'll discuss it at the next round. I just want to make sure that we have some language that covers that in our dialogue. Do I have a motion?
Move for approval.
I'll second.
Any opposed? All in favor? Aye. Thank you, Sheriff. Next item. It's a donation of surplus shotguns to STEM Police Department, and the purpose is to prove the sheriff is requesting the county to donate 4 surplus shotguns to STEM Police Department. And I'll let the sheriff explain that. And Sheriff, before you start, I just want to make the caveat to Mr. Wren, if you don't mind. I just want to make sure that somewhere that on the record that we have that when they're turned over, that if there's anything defect with that firearm, should there be a discharge that causes any injury because of a defect within that firearm, that the county is not liable.
I'll give that further consideration. I think the bill of sale just saying there's no warranty of any kind, that they accept all liability associated with the the property would take care of that.
That's good. Sheriff?
So there's 8 cycles of operation when you're talking about firing firearms. I'm sure some of the firearms instructors and professionals know these 8. So when you talk about feeding, chambering, locking, firing, extracting, unlocking, ejecting, and cocking, when we start looking at those cycles of operation, we will test fire all the ones that we're going to donate to STEM. We talked to the chief, we talked to Casey Dover. They understand the process in which we're going to donate these weapons. We're going to only keep shotguns in a less lethal capacity for the sheriff's office. So these are part of the 4 we're going to donate to them. We will have Mr. Buster and some of his team go out and test fire them prior to us giving them, and that will be done next week upon the approval from the board.
Any questions for the sheriff?
Motion to approve.
Second motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next one, I'll provide a caveat to this, is the purchase of firearms and tactical equipment. And the purpose is to receive approval from the sheriff to receive approval for the purchase of firearms, if I understand it correctly, is $83,377. It's out of asset forfeiture funds. And so the sheriff has obtained proper authority from the asset forfeiture fund, DOJ. He has followed the appropriate contracting law for the state. He's followed all the processes that are required in regards to asset forfeiture and state contract. These are firearms in which he is designating that it's his prerogative as to selection of firearms for a variety of reasons, which he can explain. But I wanted the board to know that we are voting to authorize a release of funds. We are not voting to determine what type of firearms the sheriff may be purchasing or not purchasing. Understood? We good? Okay, thank you. Sheriff.
We're going through a transition process, and again, we want to make sure that we show up at your house or anybody else's house in this community with the proper gear and tactical equipment to make sure that we accomplish the mission. Public safety is job one. That's our mission, to save lives, to be there, to be present and accountable for what we do. And in that process, we started to look at the weapons that we currently have, and we started looking at a better way to do business. That goes into where we're going to donate those shotguns that we had spoke to well, that's down the road. We're donating all of our shotguns, 4 of which we're going to STEM, but these weapons will replace the ones that we currently have. The weapons that we currently have will be purchased. We're going to use some of those monies to purchase the weapons that we have currently, to sell those to the deputies first, so they will be able to buy their own weapons that they currently carry, that they are familiar with. Then we will look at outside agencies that may need to purchase weapons, but then those funds and the monies that we're going to utilize to sell them to our deputies, we will repatriate that money back into the DOJ funding asset forfeiture, and we will move forward. So the $83,000 is where we're starting, but I think, Mr. Bayless, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that we took some of that out. Is that correct?
Correct. The repatriation requirement is not, we do not have to repatriate funds to the DOJ account. We just have to show the proper surplus of the weapons if we want to utilize it for sale to the NFL, that's fine. But funds will not be going back to the account if we use it either as credit or however the sheriff deems that, in the county deems that transfer takes place. But other than that, that's the correct procedure. We work with DOJ and Link on the process of this, work with client on this piece of it, and then as we go forward on the future board meetings, we'll set the agenda on how we're going to support the existing AR-15s that we have in inventory that we're going to
Okay, thank you. Sheriff, the current NFA firearms you have now, are they going to be, at what point are they going to be surplus at some point?
Once we get the new ones in, get everybody qualified, then we will start the sale of the other ones.
Okay.
So not until we get everything and everybody qualified with their weapon systems, with their whole tactical processes and the 5 pistols that we're going to look at, then we will start to get rid of those and surplus them.
For purposes of public conversation, Sheriff, can you kind of describe what the current long gun is that our deputies carry, and what this long gun, type of long gun, they will have? And if you would, Mr. Bayless, when he finishes, just explain that the weapons, the NFAs that you have now, will go through a process with ATF, and that there'll be a transfer.
So currently, we have 2 or 3 different types of weapon systems that are not consistent. So we have some Daniel Defense weapons that are fully automatic. We have Glocks that are fully automatic. We have the The ones in our vehicles now, the 5.56 were custom made by Granville Gunworks. So all this mirage of everything. So when we look at a tactical approach on something, if somebody goes down, then somebody else needs to use the weapon system when they run dry, then you need to pick up a gun that you're familiar with. If people have a myriad or backwash or a collage of weapon systems that you will utilize, it's not safe and it's not a functional thing that we want to do as law enforcement. So we're trying to standardize all of our weapon systems to be accurate and current so everyone can cross-train and understanding what the effects are. And people ask, why do I want to buy silencers? If you ever put an AR beside your head and pull the trigger, then you would want something to silence some of that noise or suppress that noise. So those are some of the things that those are some of the things that we're looking at, but we're trying to make sure we standardize our systems. And I'll leave it at that. Mr. Bayless?
Yes. I can speak to the purchasing and what we're going to do. So as briefly stated, we've gone through the appropriate protocols with DOJ to acquire permission to utilize DOJ funds for the purchase of the weapons and tactical gear that we're requesting. And then on a future agenda item, the weapons that we currently have, we're going to go through a surplus process that will follow DOJ policy. It will go through a federal firearms licensed dealer who we will turn these weapons over, and then they will go through the process of selling them, and then we would receive, the county at that point, a credit for that. There'll be no transfer of funds that will take place. As far as the NFA firearms that are currently in inventory, we will keep those with the proper stamp with those. They will not be transferred for sale.
And those weapons are the ones that are automatic. Those die with us. Those weapon systems die with us that are fully automatic. It can't be transferred to anybody. They have to stay with us. That tag stays with us. So those weapons will maintain and stay with Granville County Sheriff's Office. But those weapon systems,
so you'll destroy them at some point?
At some point, we probably just destroy them because they can't go anywhere else. And that's what the ATF told us. They die with us.
Yep, very good.
Chair,
Yes.
unlike our chairman, I don't have a background in law enforcement. So all the ammunition will be the same.
All the same. In fact, we just got some ammo in today.
So we have a man that's down, he can grab a ammunition from all of it to be the same all the way across.
Yes.
All the long guns will carry the same ammunition.
Same.
All the pistols.
All the pull mags will be the same. All the rifle ammunition is the same. So if I got to take ammo for somebody else because I go train with them too, we will all be the same. We'll get fed from the same spoon.
And Sheriff, that would be only if we're talking about long guns. If we're talking about the submachine guns or the handguns, we're talking about 9mm rounds, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And those weapons are only going to be carried by certain individuals. And again, you're going to be able to have two teams. We're going to try to have enough, as we grow, we're going to try to have 2 SWAT teams where they can do 2 separate missions. And then they will all have 3 and 3 as far as the entry and how we do things. But they will still be able to be utilized because we're going to cross-train everybody. So if a man down, we pick it up.
Okay, very good. Board, do you have any other questions concerning the firearms the Sheriff's requesting to buy? As I told you before, our vote is to authorize release of fund of DOJ asset forfeiture funds. It is not in regards to what type of firearms that he is purchasing.
I agree with that totally, but I do have a question for Mr.
Yes, ma'am.
Bayless. We had a deputy that retired prior to all the stuff rolling down. I want Mr. Bayless. And his personal gun was bought with DOJ money. And he was told he could not buy that gun. So can we sell these guns that were bought with DOJ money?
Yes, before
to people?
Retired, there is a
I don't think so.
Can be sold back to the individual officer through the firearms dealer. So that can be done. And that's with any weapon that we purchase with DOJ. There is a caveat for that. For a retired officer can receive their service weapon and buy that weapon through the dealer if they so choose. If they don't, then it would go back through the normal surplus process.
She's asking Mr. Bayless if it could be gifted
No, he was willing to buy it.
So it would have to
but he
go
was
back
told
to
no.
the FFL. Correct. And then the officer or the deputy would have the opportunity to purchase it from the FFL, which is the Federal Firearms Dealer.
And
As
most
I-
of the
as I
time,
recall,
all the
this-
ones we've seen so far, you guys have approved.
But this was long before you, so.
Oh, I haven't
The,
heard
the
anybody.
current policy wasn't in place at that time.
Okay.
Which
So
one?
is there any way we can make that up to this gentleman? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to know who you were talking about,
Yep.
because that was gonna be my question.
Can I ask one question before we move on?
Yes.
Sheriff, thank you for coming tonight. On this walk-in item, I see you've got the patrol and SROs flagged with certified, trained, or new hire.
Correct.
Does that, I just lost what it's called. Are all of your chiefs BLET certified?
All the chiefs?
Are your chiefs? Because it's only on,
Yes.
it's
all
only
the
on
chiefs.
one page.
Yes.
And that's why I was curious if it transposed to all the other pages.
No, the chiefs.
Footnote, and that's what I was trying to think of.
Yeah, the footnotes on that page identify the ones that are certified, the ones that are in training, and then the ones, I think, are new hires. So I'm not looking at it, but I think those are the footnotes.
Right.
So all of the chiefs are either certified or going, or have a background in law enforcement, which they left and may have had a 2-year window where their certification expired, where they're either going to challenge the test or go back through BLET. So everybody that's at the top of the food chain, I think only is Mr. Buster and Mr. Clements are the only two that, no, Mr. Buster's the only one. Everybody else is BLET
So
certified.
not currently certified. Okay.
Saying, yes, they are.
So
So
Chief, Mr. Buster is currently certified?
No, he's the only one.
Okay.
Not currently certified.
Yes, he's sworn but not certified.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sheriff, thank you for coming. Dude, is there any other business for the sheriff? We not voted on this. We need to vote.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, I move for approval of the request, Mr. Chairman.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Sheriff, for your time tonight. Thank you for your people are doing, and I look forward to meeting with you, along with the county manager, assistant county manager, Dr. Cozart, and your, I believe your chief, one of your chiefs this week to further discuss salaries.
Did we reschedule that based on that event that's here Thursday?
What's that? What was the question?
Did you reschedule?
Did we reschedule it based on the AG being here Thursday?
Let me look. We'll get with you. We'll get with you.
Thank you.
Yeah. We've got it at 1 o'clock on the 6th, Sheriff. It doesn't conflict with the AG. Doesn't conflict with the AG's meeting. Okay, thank you. I'm gonna find my agenda.
Page 70.
Which one? I need an agenda sheet and then lost it. Thank you.
People left wanting to talk to. Damn it.
Mr. Falls, this is amendment and extension of landfill operations. The purpose of the board is to approve for a 14-month contract extension and requested price increase to Huff Soil and Conservation Incorporated for the continued operations at Granville County Municipal Solid Waste Landfill through 2023 to 24. The board's asked to authorize the county attorney to draft this contract amendment and extension and authorize the county manager to execute it. Please provide us the background and your recommendations.
Mr. Chairman, fellow commissioners, the current landfill operations contract is operated by Huff Soil Conservation. It expires on April 30th, 2023. The county staff and the county attorney met with Mr. Huff and his accountant on February the 10th, 23, to discuss contract extension price increase for continual landfill operations. Within the last couple of years, this contractor has experienced significant price increases in labor, equipment parts, and equipment purchasing. Escalating equipment costs and documentation were presented to staff for review and discussion. The Huff Soil Conservation has been the contractor for the landfill for the last 4 decades through various contract revisions and extensions. This contract covers all landfill work at the MSW landfill, including receipt, the compaction, disposal, the covering of around 43,000 tons of waste per year. Other functions of this contract include the grading, the dirt rock hauling, stockpiling, loading of tires and scrap metal, and yard waste recycling. Attached is a copy of the current contract requirements. Below is a table showing the current and proposed price increase after negotiations with Huff Soil. Landfill operations are current are $62,120 per month. The new contract, if approved, will be $120,000 per month. The scraps tire stockpiling, loading, we do that at the Oxford and Butner sites for businesses and folks bringing in scrap tires. That would go from $1,000 a month to $2,500 a month. The county staff have met with the Solid Waste Subcommittee, Commissioners Jay and Wilford, on March 21st to discuss this requested contract extension and price increase from Huff Soil. County staff explained that the proposed price increases in the market range for this type of work and the amount of trash volume we get at the landfill. Our engineers told us it's pretty close to the market conditions, what everyone else across the state is having to pay. Upon review and discussions, the subcommittee recommended extending the contract and requested increases for the 14 months. The extended contract will expire on June 30th, 2024. At that time, and during this fiscal year, staff will work with the county's engineering firm to bid this RFP out in the next year, in 14 months. So this contract will be bid out after the expiration of, we'll have a new contractor in place by July 1st of 2024, hopefully. Mr. Huff has provided competitive rating service to the county for many years. Staff appreciates his service for all these years as well. The funding for this contract are available within the annual operating budget 2023-24 to cover this extension and price increase upon departmental budget recommendation being approved and adopted by the Board of County Commissioners. Recommendation of the Solid Waste Subcommittee and county staff recommend this 14-month contract extension and price increase for landfill operations. Staff recommends county attorney to draft an addendum or new contract to be executed by both parties to be in effect by May 1st, 2023.
County Manager, do you have anything to add here for a motion?
Just to reiterate that Mr. Huff has been providing services to the county for over 4 decades. He's getting towards the end of his career. I think of this extension and the RFP that will take place during this extension as a little bit like succession planning for our landfill operations. It's a very complicated operation, and so I think this is a necessary step that we have to go through to keep our landfill operations on the right foot.
County Attorney, have any comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
do have a question. So did I hear you say this is in your budget, so you won't require any money from us?
Correct. It's funded by user fees that go across the scales,
Thank you.
majority. As well as the solid waste convenient fees that folks pay throughout the county. There will be an increase in some of those fees requested in the budget for this year.
Any other question from any commissioners for Jason?
Just one, when do you anticipate the request for proposals?
The engineer's working on those now. We hope to have those, hopefully have those done in the next 6 months.
Okay.
7 months, 8 months approved, 7 months.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion, we approve the
Recommendations?
recommendation by.
Do I have a second? Z, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you all.
Mr. Phillips, please. The next topic is award of engineering services contract for Triangle North Business Park to McGill Associates, PA, at a cost of $154,400. Mr. Phillips, please.
Good evening, Granville County Chairman, Granville County Commissioners. In August of 2019, Granville County retained McGill and Associates to perform evaluation of design services for water and sewer infrastructure required of the park's development. As a result of this work, a 60-inch diameter water service supply system was designed and permitted for construction. This request is to update the prior service agreement needed to carry the water line project forward. As noted in your attached proposal, the work scope is summarized as follows. Task 3A is surveying and easement platting needed for the work along Tabbs Creek Road. Task 5 is bidding and construction award services and review of the project to potential bidders. Task 6 is construction administration required during while the project's being constructed. As you may know, Task 1, project planning. Task 2, preliminary design. Task 3, design, and Task 4, permitting, have been accomplished through the original agreement. Funding with the previously approved fund balance in fiscal year 22-23 can facilitate this request. I recommend that we award the engineering service contract to McGill Associates for an amount not to exceed $154,400. I'll be happy to answer any questions that I can.
Any commissioner have a question for Mr. Phillips?
I do. My same question, and this is coming out of the budget you have right now, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions for any board member?
How soon do you think this will start? Excuse me, how soon will this start?
Immediately. I think there's a pressing urge or need to get the water line started, yes.
How long is the project projected to be?
Probably at least 6 months.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions for any commissioners? What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. The next topic is the Granville County Board of Adjustment. Am I correct, clerk?
Yes.
To make an appointment to the Granville County Board of Adjustment. The function and duty of the Board of Adjustment is to hear and decide appeals. Order, requirement, decision, or determinations made by an administrative official charged with enforcing Granville County zoning ordinance. The term of Tommy Hobgood, alternate for District 2, expires in April 1, 2023. Mr. Hobgood does not want to be reappointed. Applications are on file for Mr. Neil Grisham, District 1, and Victoria Bradshaw, District 2, for consideration. Do I have any commissioner who'd like to nominate any of the two applicants?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Ms. Victoria Bradshaw, please.
Are there any other nominations? None?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? What's the pleasure?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes carry. Motion carries. It'll be Miss Victoria Bradshaw, District 2, will be the selectee. County Manager, welcome back. Do you have any topics for us tonight?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No items tonight.
Okay. Mr. Wren, our next topic is the update on compliance review procedures for Equitable Sharing Fund and other federal grants. And as you recall from the last meeting, the concern was we wanted to make sure that before we signed any documents such as the ESAC form for the asset forfeiture plan, that there would be an audit process, and then you made a suggestion that we also look at other federal grants and contracts. So just if you could take it from there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The county manager and I had a email dialogue with the finance officer about this matter, and he had spoken to our audit firm who gave us some pointers on the current practice with this. The manager and I will be working to come back to the board with a recommendation for a request for qualifications to seek, or a request for proposal to seek financial auditing firms to come back to us with agreed upon procedures for reviewing these grants when something less than a yellow book audit is required for the program. So we'll be working on that over the next little bit and bring something back to the board for review and approval that would then give the board a framework moving forward with all federal grant programs that are less than the threshold required for a yellow book audit.
So for the purposes of this, for our citizens that are here tonight, this is so there's no more messes. And so we have an actual review process that actually audits to make sure that the funds are spent correctly. It actually protects both the sheriff and the county manager when they go to sign these forms, to make sure that the monies have been accounted for appropriately. So it's a safeguard that our board's putting in to protect both bodies of government. So there is not an issue or concern, or if it identifies an issue or concern, then we can be on top of it. So thank you very much. County Attorney, one more question before we move on to your report. Have we had any further movement on the franchise for, could you update us on the franchise for ambulance?
We hope to have that back on the agenda at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
I've not had a chance to, had other matters to work on, haven't had.
Yes, sir. County Attorney, do you have a report for us tonight?
I don't.
Thank you, sir. Presentation by board members. Commissioner Karen.
We are whipping it. There's something about a basketball game or something, so I'll be very brief. So I'm going to talk about volunteerism real quick. Had the good fortune to attend a Pause for the Cause event for Granville County Humane Society this past weekend, and it is an outstanding group of volunteers that are fur babies here in Granville County. As you know, we as a taxing authority have an animal control for the welfare of our citizens to protect things like rabies and that kind of thing, which is transmissible to humans. And we've invested greatly in our animal control department, and they are co-located out at the law enforcement center, detention center, sheriff's office, and animal control on Commerce, and a fantastic facility. But if it was not for those in our community, and I'm just singling out the Humane Society because there's a whole bunch of other type of animal rescues and things. When I first was elected to this board, we used the gas chamber, and that's how we euthanized our pets, but that's no more. We've got a very humane, very caring group of folks that work down there. And I mention this because I am in need of some volunteers to serve this county. I'm one of the 27 boards and commissions that we have, and those two would be the Economic Development Advisory Council and the Human Relations Board. District 6, I need someone who is a person who's cares about economic development, has a business background, and would love to donate some of their time to seeing that our economic development in Granville County moves forward, and your presence would be welcome on that board. You can go on our website, granvillecounty.org, and there is a spot on there that you can fill out a form and send it to our clerk, and she will alert the board that you're willing to serve on one of these boards. Again, the Human Relations Commission is another one, Human Relations Advisory Council that I've got appointments to. So they're really important for the board to receive feedback from our citizenry, as well as to act on our behest. So very important. Lots and lots of boards. Please get involved. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Karen. Commissioner Gooch.
Yes. You know, we can't always fix everything. We have very limited power. I like to think that we exercise fiscal control with our spending, that we don't overspend, and we keep track of where all the money goes and for what purpose. And yeah, thank each and every one of you for all that you do. Thank all the people who showed up tonight, and hopefully you got an idea that it ain't always pretty, but it works.
Thank you, Mr. Gooch. Commissioner Jay.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had the opportunity since our last meeting to go to the Economic Summit along with county manager and I think with mayors from Budner, and I think it was mayor from Cremo was there too. We was well represented at our Economic Summit, and the summit was good. It was great. And it was great ideas and things was thrown out. I just so proud of Granville County because we had so many people there representing us at the summit. And also, if you ever going through Littleton, please stop in at the old Littleton school, and see how they remodeled that school and turned it into a school of arts. It is, huh?
A what?
A school.
Oh, okay.
It was old elementary and high school. They turned it into a art facilities, and it was great. I mean, it is fantastic how they went in and did it. Also, I attend the extension board where they took in Preston County on last week, where they celebrated two of their employees that work part with Granville County and Preston County. They were celebrating their 20th year celebration, and it was great. And I did go, and we did have your extension board. They was well represented from Granville County up there in Preston County. And so we appreciate that. And also just like to, one thing is that, you know, every year we sponsor a be a sponsor for the Crime Stopper golf tournament. We asking with Joe, please be a sponsor for us this year.
Thank you, Z. You've been busy.
How much do you need to, how much? I need to know about money. How much is this gonna cost us?
I'm sorry. I think it was $500. Don't think.
Thanks for writing that check, Mr. Z. That come out of your account, right?
That'll be all right.
Okay.
All right. Then I'm
Thanks.
for it.
Commissioner Hinman, thank you, Mr. J.
But we need to make a motion on that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we take money out of Mr. Z's commissioner's account to put toward this golf tournament.
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do you play golf, Mr. Z?
Listen, I never could figure out why you hit the little white ball and go with the honey down. When I find somebody tell me the rationale behind that, I might play.
That's okay. Ms. Hinman,
Well, actually, if I could get Miss Deborah to meet me out here out front, I'd greatly appreciate it, and anybody that wants to come along with me.
Uh-oh.
come on.
Y'all just come up here with us. Come on.
Stretch break.
Well, if you hit it down the fairway, you ain't gotta find it's right.
So, no, we were not betting on whether Jim would get here on time or not. So, we had to pay for your plan. So, happy birthday. We're sorry we didn't get to see you Thursday for your birthday, but we wanted to make sure that this birthday and every birthday is just as beautiful as you are.
We wanted to take this opportunity to publicly thank Ms. Weary for all her hard work and all that she does. See how nervous she gets when she's out behind. But we appreciate her, and she's a blessing to each and every one of us. We thank you for what you do.
She takes care of each and every one of us, like you would not believe. I mean, she makes sure we all have our pens and pencils and know where we're supposed to be, when we're supposed to be, why we're supposed to be. And this lady's perfect as far as I'm concerned. Thank you, thank you.
And if you want to know how the county gets to be where it is, call her. She'll remind you.
We wouldn't get to be at this meeting if it wasn't for her.
Thank you, Deb.
Thank you. Happy birthday. Thank you so much. We had to take her bet.
Dr. Cozart, when we get seated, you're up, and then it'll go to me, and then I'll have some.
Wait, I've got one more thing.
Okay.
I did get to go to the library today.
So much for that.
For the new dedication of the new musical instruments, and that was awesome to get to do that and play on them. I had a good time getting to play the instruments. I didn't get kicked off there like I did out of the band and out of the children's choir. So I want you to know we had fun. Now I'm done.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Cozart.
you so much. Just very briefly, I see Mr. Cottrell there, and I know has a great relationship with all our firemen in the county. But I wanted to say how impressed I was with the order at the Antioch Volunteer Fire Department plate sale on Friday. Not only was it well organized, but it was an awfully good steak that they cooked. And I do appreciate the efforts of our firemen to do that, along with all the service they provide. We're just so grateful. So we're thankful to all who do that day in and day out. I wanted to also just say that I'm encouraged by something that I see in the House version of the budget, and it has to do with additional teacher assistants. This is something that's been a cry in our school system. As you know, we talk about learning loss, we talk about the issues regarding social and emotional development of our kids, and I'm so happy that this has come up in the House budget. So we're so hopeful for our children that this will be something that will come to a reality, so that the children in our school system will have an additional level of support. This past, actually yesterday, very few times have I gone to the Gap just for casual type experiences, but Sunday I took the grands out there and my daughters, and let me tell you, what a wonderful, wonderful feel. I saw where Hopper and Hicks donated. I saw the sign. You get reminded of things. The soccer field, I think it was. You get reminded of things. Had a chance to see the trees we planted with some of our heroes in the county who've gone on. And you just get to see the many, many sacrifices that people have made and all that went into making that park what it is. And we thoroughly enjoyed it. And I even got about 1.5 miles in, so I feel real good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And he rode a bicycle.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to thank all the citizens that came tonight to your county. We're glad you came. We welcome the comments. We welcome the robust discussion. Sheriff, thank you for coming tonight and engaging with us tonight and answering our questions. And again, look forward to you working through these matters and seeing some real positive results in regards to not just the Sheriff's Department, but all our county employees. These fixes require fixes just not for our deputies. I know they're special, and we think all our emergency service people are special. They put their lives on the line, and I get it. But we have to think of all, because they all are out there working very hard. And so we will do our very best to do something that hasn't been done in a way that this county's not seen before. I'm confident in Mr. Cummings and Karina Weichel, and we'll do the best we can to fix this puzzle as quickly as possible in a budgeted year so that we can move forward in a way that works and works long term. Had a pleasure going to the legislature and meeting with Representative Winslow and Representative Sossman, and I happened to be with Ms. Bodie as well. I think our county is being served very well. I know that there's a lot of things in the legislature that I'm hopeful for that's going to come our way. I'm very hopeful. I want to thank Mr. Wren and the work that he does in that regards, and also Mr. Cummings. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes work going on in the betterment of our county and working with our legislatures that a lot of people don't do and hasn't really been done this way in a very a traditional way. I want to thank Mr. Baker and Mr. Justin. We're working on a major project on Highway 56 and getting some planning done there that's going to really point the way for the future for Granville County and hopefully drive a period of time in which we can see the right kind of progress happen on Highway 56 in a timely manner. A meeting with the schools this week, the school liaison with the board here. I'm hoping we can have a joint meeting with their board. I think it's very important we meet jointly with them so all the commissioners can voice their opinions and concerns regarding the budget. And we want to work with our school system. They're going through a transition, but we will meet with them, I think, tomorrow morning, Dr. Cozart, and we'll meet with them and share your concerns. I passed on to the school system today from Senator Tillis's office. They reached out and contacted me regarding funding for SROs and additional funding. And what we've asked them to do is to ask the school to put in for as many as they think they need it. And then we will fill what we can. But there is approximately $73 million available. The deadline is in May. And so I hope the school will be aggressively pursuing that. I saw some people here about the ETJ and some people here about the Fire Commission. I was hoping that you would speak tonight. Your voice needs to be heard. Tell us how you feel. We have a Fire Commission. The Fire Commission, for those that don't understand its makeup, I'll explain it to you very, very quickly. We have 3 civilians on that board. They're non-related and non-affiliated with the fire departments. We have 3 firefighters, subject matter experts on that board. They are affiliated with fire partners, but they are people that we believe are subject matter experts. And then we have one representative, Mr. Cottrell, happens to be here tonight, who represents the Fire Chiefs Association. No county commissioners vote on that board, none. The recommendations made by that board are brought to our board, where this board can edit, modify, or change how they think best from that, or they can leave those as they are. At the end of the day, it's a cooperative effort to get us moving in the right direction. It's brand new. It just started. The board just organized in July of 2022. There's a lot of work to be done. And I know we're working hard to do it. I think Mr. Anderson, would you stand, please? He happens to be one of our civilians on the board. Chief Cottrell, would you stand? He happens to be, is there any other Fire Commission members here? Now, those are 2 members of the board. Thank you for your service. It's not easy. Every commissioner is passionate about the fire services within their district and wants what's best. I can assure you of that. And so this year alone, fire departments will see unprecedented funding through the Fire Commission. Unprecedented funding means more funding than these fire departments have ever received. And I anticipate in coming years, you'll see that grow tremendously. As the county grows and as the funds grow, they'll grow tremendously. So it's up to that board there to provide fiduciary responsibility back to this board. Every dollar that's taken in on a tax dollar, it is this board's by the North Carolina Physical Control Act to manage appropriately and to make sure that we can account for every dime where it goes. So that's sometimes not pretty, and sometimes people disagree with that, but that's why we do it. So I would encourage those folks that are here tonight that didn't speak tonight to please come back to our next meeting. We welcome discussion with you and your concerns. We want to hear both from those of the ETJ and both of those of the Fire Commission. I want to finally tell you that I've been in discussions with the county manager, and we've talked about this at our spring retreat. And what we're going to do is we're working on the process now, and we hope, I hope sometime late this summer to have our room here wired and completely redone for recordings and microphones, and upgrade our system here completely so that we're moving forward with that. This board is making progressive moves every day. We have a evolving county with a lot of responsibilities that's changing. It's going to cause some pain. It's going to cause some frustration. But at the end of the day, I can assure you that everyone that sits on this board cares deeply about the citizens of Granville County and want to move it forward in a way that meets the demands that come forth. With that said, Ms. Hinman, do you have a motion to go into closed session?
I do. I'd like to go into closed session for employee, for personnel, I'm sorry.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The board will now go into closed session. Again, thank you everyone for attending tonight.